Was Lamont Roach robbed of a victory, of an upset of the year against Gervonta Tank Davis on Saturday night? Lamont Roach posed problems that no opponent had ever done against Gervonta Davis, had even gotten close to against Gervonta Tank Davis. Some might say it's a victory just going to 12. Lamont Roach was like, no, my victory is getting a victory. And was he robbed out of that opportunity? A close fight, nonetheless. Back and forth. On the scorecards, you couldn't give either side a win by 2 rounds. It was Tank won by 1 round, or Lamont won by 1 round, or a draw. Of course, we saw the majority draw, while the one judge had Tank winning 115 to 113. But did Lamont Roach get robbed out of a victory? Some might say yes. A lot of people are actually saying yes because of the reason: the knee that Gervonta Davis took in the 9th round. That knee gets called properly a knockdown. Lamont Roach is a 2-division world champ, and Gervonta Davis is handed his first loss. But now, both are still champs at their respective divisions. Lamont at 130, Tank at 135, with Tank having a 1 at the end of his record, not in the loss column, but the tie column. Let's talk about this fight, but first, make sure you like the video, comment below who you thought won, and subscribe to the Never Drop podcast. I'm Luke Backman. Make sure, if you're a fan of this fight at all, come on, go check my channel. I was there. I got all different videos. I got the video of Tank taking the knee, which I'm sure you'll see right here in this breakdown of the fight. I got it all. Make sure you go look at my channel, go find some of the videos from the fight night. Incredible night at the Barclays Center. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, comment below, and like this video. But back to the fight. Lamont Roach, what a performance he put up. Not only did he just continue to show up, he was putting his hands on Tank in ways that we've never seen before. He was countering Tank like no opponent had been able to in the past. A lot of opponents obviously go in there scared. And we had heard on the build-up all week long, all 3 months since this fight has been announced, Lamont was so confident. You're talking about, I'll knock him out. Other guys get scared, not me. He proved it in the ring. He wasn't scared one bit, and he proved he really does belong. A lot of people knew Lamont was legit, but wow, way to introduce yourself to all of boxing. For Tank Davis, just an awful performance. There's no way to sugarcoat it. I picked Tank by knockout between 7 and 10 rounds. The Tank that fought Saturday night was not the Tank I was expecting to see in the ring. I was expecting to see a Tank Davis, the same version that was against Frank Martin back in the summertime of 2024. That Tank Davis, the one that was walking him down and hunting. See, this Tank Davis, and this was my biggest problem with him. Not only did he let Lamont Roach hang around this fight, and when I say hang around, not really able to apply the pressure. There was a few times in this fight where Tank landed some good, clean shots, and he didn't press the action. I'd see in the corner Kenny Ellis waving him forward. Come on, come on, come on. And Tank just slowly would walk forward, not immediately press the action. There was times Tank landed some very good shots on Lamont, and Lamont took them. I think for sure they got hurt at some point. But Tank wasn't jumping on him to see. There was one time, I forget which round, but Tank did jump on him. It was like, okay, here we go, Tank. And then he backs off. And part of it is because of the scary counterpunching Lamont was having. I believe it was the 8th round where he stumbled Tank. That was the cleanest and flushest shot we've seen Tank get hit with in a long time. And that jolted Tank. He went back into his corner and he told Barry Hunter and Calvin Ford and the whole group, and we'll talk about that dynamic. He told them, yeah, that one caught me. I got to pay attention to that. Lamont Roach. I mean, what's there to say that isn't already being said around boxing? He put on a heck of a performance, and let's address the elephant in the room. The 9th round, the knee Gervonta Tank Davis took. I see a lot of dialogue going on about this knee. For Tank, one, I think it was probably dumb for him to take a knee, but if he really had something in his eye, I understand the strategical move to take the knee get that cleaned out, and then continue on the fight. Only problem is it's a knockdown. There's no argument for me. I know there's people saying, oh, there's not many punches that landed beforehand. Why is it a knockdown? No, your knee touches the ground. It's a knockdown. No ifs, ands, or buts. And then if you go to your corner and get assistance like he did with the towel, you can get DQ'd for that. Obviously, neither of those happened. Obviously, I think the DQ would have been a step farther, but the knockdown certainly should have happened. I think we got to talk about the referee not necessarily going at Tank for this one, because I think it was a strategical move to stop the action, get his eyes cleared out, and then continue on in the fight. I don't think a punch made him say, oh, I need to take a knee. No, I'll show you the video. I'm sure you've already seen it right now. I've already played it. As you've seen in the video, Lamont landed, I believe, a jab. Nothing too significant. Tank took a knee. First, he looked at the ref, took a knee, and then sprinted over to his corner. He wasn't hurt by anything, right? It was a strategical move to clear his eyes, but a strategical move that should have cost him a point, should have been a knockdown. And then afterwards, Tank, I think, might have had one of his, if not the best round of the fight, right? But for Tank, you can't do that. You just can't do that. It's inexcusable. And for the referee not to call it a knockdown, originally start counting, and then get persuaded by Tank, ridiculous. I mean, you have to stand. You know it's a knockdown. Referee Steve Willis has to answer to that, because that, in essence, caused Lamont Roach the victory. For Tank, it's just ridiculous move. I mean, just not knowing time, manner, place, everything. And he talked about this, and his coaches talked about this. He lost focus in this fight. In the 12th round, when Steve Willis was bringing him to touch gloves, he looked around saying, this is the 12th? Okay, maybe he thought it was the 11th. No, he thought it was the 8th round. I mean, you can't, in these high-level fights, lose focus like that. Thinking it's the 8th round when you're in the 12th round of a back and forth fight, it's inexcusable, especially at someone at Tank's level. Barry Hunter is telling him you need rounds, and Tank is thinking, I'll get rounds later. No, you need them now, because you're running out of time. And let's touch on this, and this will be the end of Tank for now, and then I will talk about Lamont Roach, because I know this is Ben Taylor towards Tank. The coaching change, and this is nothing to do against Barry Hunter. I think he's a great head coach. What he's doing with Scooter Davis is incredible. Watch on my channel, Scooter Davis, electrifying prospect, one of the best prospects up and coming. Barry Hunter's the coach. I think Barry Hunter's a tremendous coach. But for Tank Davis, Calvin Ford needs to be that guy. Again, nothing against Barry Hunter. It's the connection that Calvin and Tank have. And Coach Kenny Ellis. Coach Kenny, Coach Calvin calls him the Bible. Film study, breakdowns like nobody else. And Coach Calvin is the head man, saying everything. Those are the two for Tank. Barry Hunter can be in camp, but he can't be the head guy for Tank, because that needs to be Calvin Ford. And I understand Calvin had things going on with his personal life, and he had to take a step back. Hey, it's boxing. Tank talked about retiring, needing to take a step back. So I understand. But for Tank to be successful, I think he needs Calvin Ford as that lead voice. I expect that to come back, switch around, and Barry will probably be, because Barry is a boxing genius. Barry will be in that camp. But Calvin and Tank, that's a relationship like none other. And that's the relationship that needs to be in the corner talking to Tank with these rounds. Lamont Roach. I'll give him so much credit, because I thought Tank won a good amount of the early rounds, the first half of the fight. And I was thinking, okay, it's just a matter of time. He's going to start breaking them down. And the farther Lamont got in this fight, I was like, wait a second. He's actually picking up and Tank's declining. Lamont was saying, okay, you're hitting me with these shots? I'm good. I'll keep coming forward. Lamont was on the front foot, walking Tank down way more than it was the other way around. right, I was anticipating Tank walking him down. And Tank talked about afterwards, necessarily he didn't have power. He had good shots, he didn't have power. I disagree because from what it looked like in the fight, it looked like Lamont Roach had power. It stopped Tank in his tracks from doing a lot of things he wanted to do. I thought Tank was trying to box a good amount. I was like, okay, maybe he's boxing. No, he just was not getting in the inside and into a necessarily firefight with Lamont like we expected Tank to do. And that's all the credit to Lamont because his counter punching was incredible. I've seen some people say exposed Tank. I'm not going to go that far right now. But the fact that he was able to hit Tank as much and as flush as he was, it's to a degree kind of a blueprint, especially with the counter punching. I say this because I always thought of Tank as a good defender, good defensive fighter. Not a great, not nowhere near Shakur Stevenson, but has a good defensive system. Still, I think Tank is a good defender. This fight, you couldn't tell. I mean, in the Martin fight, you kind of thought, oh, he's getting hit a lot, but then afterwards, he's like, that was kind of my thing. I just want to walk him down, take some shots, eat him, whatever. In this fight, I was like, whoa, this isn't by design. This is Lamont Roach being skilled and being quicker, being smarter in some aspects than Tank, and hitting him with big time shots. It wasn't that one time I talked about the counter that had Tank a little wobbly, just for a second, nothing too crazy, but just for a second. There was some other shots that was like, ooh, that one, ooh, that one's tough. Lamont Roach, he gets all the credit in the world. He put on a heck of a performance and he carried himself throughout this promotion as any fighter should. He won a lot of fans just in the promotion. All he had to do was put on a good fight and he was going to get some respect. The stock is out of the roof for Lamont Roach. He's just earned himself big time fights in the upcoming year, 2 years, 3 years now. One of those big time fights is a rematch, which needs to happen. No ifs, ands, or buts to that one. Tank talked about, oh yeah, I don't know if it's going to be next. I don't know if that's by Tank or by PBC, Al Heyman's design. If they have some sort of plan for Tank, who did say, yeah, let's cut the retirement talk. I got like 4 fights left because I need to get some get back and I need to get right. If it's by design, fight by fight, right now with PBC and Al Heyman, cut the plan. Stop it all right now. It's Tank versus Roach 2. Or if you don't make that one, it's Tank versus Shakur. Who's ringside? Other than that, I don't want to see it. I might allow a Keyshawn Davis fight. Other than that, nope. What are we doing? Some people said maybe a Pitbull rematch. If you do a Pitbull rematch over a Roach rematch, all criticism will be warranted. That would be a ridiculous decision to make. You need to do a Roach rematch in the DMV area. Not only would the money be good, it's not even about the money. Think about it. Think about when Floyd fought Maidana. Got a very close decision win and said, all right, I'll go back and I'll prove you I'm the better guy. If you're Tank, that's what you got to do right now. He talked about it. Oh, there was times where I thought I could have stopped him. There's things I didn't do. I didn't let my hands go. Okay, prove it to us. Prove it to us. This is right now put up or shut up time for Tank Davis. And I'm still a believer in Tank Davis. You asked me today, Tank or Shakur, even after that performance, I know it's a what have you done for me lately? I think this was a awful night at the office for Tank Davis. I'd still pick him over Shakur. Granted, that's narrowed for me even more. I had Tank, probably like this. Okay, Tank versus Shakur. After that performance, it's back to neck and neck. I probably had it 65, what is that? 35 Tank favor. Now it's 55-45, maybe even closer to 52-48. So I'm still a believer in Tank. In a rematch, I think I'd favor Tank, and I might favor him by knockout. And that might be me saying, okay, what has Tank done for me in the past? But I think it was an awful night at the office, and a lot to do with it because of how Lamont Roach fought. I think the two knew each other. Lamont wasn't necessarily scared like other opponents, and he just kept gaining confidence. The longer he lasted, the more confidence he was gaining. This was an overall very good fight. Do I think Lamont Roach was robbed? From the aspect of what the scorecards were and the ninth round not being a knockdown, yes. He should have won that fight. Personally, when I was watching this fight, I thought Tank won. Forget the knockdown, right? Because that didn't get counted. I thought Tank won on the scorecard 7-5, 7 rounds to 5. I did think Tank banked a lot of those early rounds. And I thought he performed a couple times in the second half of the fight to win him some rounds. So I thought 7-5 in Tank's favor, the 115-113 scorecard. That's how I would have got it. But I'm not mad at a draw. I think Lamont Roach proved himself to be almost at that level of Tank Davis. If a rematch happens, I mentioned I'd probably pit Tank, but jeez, I'm going to be second guessing myself. And who would have thought? This is the last video I thought I'd be making right now. Is a draw and a potential rematch. That's, again, props to Lamont Roach, who performed tremendously. Gervonta Davis, he talked about it. I want to get back in the gym next week. Let's hope this sparks some fire in him because he needs it. I always get scared about retirement talk, and you got fights coming up, and this is why. For Tank Davis, it's time to show people. All right, you've been knocking people out for a while. You've been able to get away from criticism because of the performance you put on. This wasn't a good performance at all. So let's see. Let's see how you handle it. I think Tank's going to be back better than ever. I think Lamont Roach is going to be back better than ever. And I think a rematch between these two, oh my goodness, incredible. I think a rematch between these two, I can't wait to see it. And who would have thought that's what we would be saying after this fight? Shout out to Lamont Roach for one heck of a performance as somebody who thought he was going to get knocked out. Wow, he made me eat those words. And he made me a Lamont Roach big fan. I'm a big fan of Lamont Roach now. Now we'll see. We'll see how both fighters go from here. And hopefully this rematch gets made for the summer. DMV area in the summertime would go insane. We'll have to wait and see. Remember, this is the Never Drop Podcast. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe down below. Let me know who won this fight and do you want to see a rematch. Let me know in the comments below, and make sure you go watch all my videos from the fight. Like, comment, subscribe on those ones. Let me know. Talk to me about this fight. Let me know in the comments. This is Luke Backman. That's all I got for you. Peace. I'm out.